stillness descending. There's so much more to take us. Life in slow motion. We keep the same mistakes. Trying.
We feel the wrath of ice grip. We must learn to earn trust from ourselves. The passing very shocking. Tomorrow we move on.
Woo! Oh shit. That's feedback. How do I fix it? Like that. Okay. Cool. I see some of the emotes. I saw Jan and Only One Eye Glover, Eye of the Seeker. Oh, okay. So right now, maybe you guys are, well, there's all the credits. You might not have enough time to, I think I put it up there for long enough for you to look at all of it, but not really process any of it. There it is. You can go there to find out about stuff. And the @ won't really go anywhere for the time being. Oh, okay. Hang on a second. I think I need my face up here again. All right. Hi. Here I am again with my mouth behind the pop filter. And now it's above the pop filter. But I'll still try to direct my voice down like this so it's hitting the diaphragm of the microphone okay. But it's compressed quite a bit, so you should be able to hear it fine if I'm even over here. Just might sound a little more distant. Okay. So that was pretty cool. Yay, B4, man. Wait, who's that? BHH8? Oh, that's Brian Harris. Nice. We got one Brian here and one Brian there. Yeah, B4, man. Thanks for doing this. Oh, I love you, Brian. Been a wonderful mentor and teacher and all the things. Boss. Future and past and I don't know. I mean, just been you're great. Enough said. So that was cool. Thank you for tuning in and watching. Wait, am I still here? Oh shit! Hang on a second. I think I'm still here. It froze for a little bit. I think. Maybe you were still hearing my voice. This Twitch, it makes me so like when it's not a party and we've got like 50 people watching. It really feels very disconnected and I don't know. It's not my normal way of doing things, but it's fun. I mean, I wish more people would start to tune in eventually, but whatever. I mean, shit's dope anyway. Okay, so that was the first part. Pretty cool. Many of you may be intimately familiar with those tracks. We'll talk a little bit about the narrative because, you know, I have talked about it a fair amount over the last few weeks. And if you've been checking out the website, which probably not a lot of people have, you know, whatever. But there's a whole narrative that has become like sort of the fourth component of what I call this multimedia multiverse, right? So you got the music, which incorporates the lyrics, which I talked about extensively and probably bored a few people and sent them away. But that's okay because, you know, I don't have patience for people with no patience. Just kidding. All this stuff comes up because it's literally thoughts in my head, and rather than like internalize it, I've decided just, you know, part of my vibe is I'm just going to let it loose to show how ridiculous it is. So anyway, let's talk about this part of the album in terms of the narrative because it will help us connect to what I'm about to show you in a little bit, which I'm conscious of the time. I know some people who have early bedtimes are watching, so we'll keep going fairly soon. Or I'll just talk your ear off for another hour and then you'll get too tired to care. Just kidding. Okay, so SmokeClouds, if you go to the website, www.b4menmusic.com, which will be the only aspect of my online persona that will exist for the, you know, duration of me being in rehab, there you'll notice right away in the before log, if you go back to chapter 1, www.b4menmusic.com/b4 number 4 log/001. That is chapter 1, Smausic Stripes. And you can see the artwork, you can listen to the track in amazing 320 MP3 streaming quality, which is going to be slightly better than this 160 kilobits per second shitty Twitch streaming quality. But if you go to my Bandcamp, beforemenmusic.bandcamp.com, you can download my shit for free if you want even, and listen to it in full quality, uncompressed WAV quality, or IF quality, or if you're, you know, nerdy and like lossless compressed, you can get a FLAC. And then you'll really hear it how it was intended to be heard if you play it on a decent stereo or headphones. Just trying to get a little bit of education and wokeness throughout this process. Stop listening to fucking compressed music. I mean, streaming's dope. Like, it's amazing for music discovery. Spotify is my life for developing playlists and such. But if I really want something, I buy the CD or I download the wave. But it's very unfortunate that anything mainstream that's not dance music, there is no way to obtain the wave unless you buy a CD, and people don't release CDs anymore because, like, nobody buys CDs. And anyway, this is not a night for rants, although there have been several of them. Okay, SmokeClouds, right? So, Smausic Stripes, Grand Chasm, and One Eye Open, the tracks you just kind of experienced in sequence with that concept video. If you were watching the left side of the screen, or I guess it's this, if you're watching the left side of the screen, you saw red text. If you're watching the right side of the screen, you saw white text. The red text, well, the white text should be immediately recognizable as the lyrics because, you know, it's like follow the bouncing ball or whatever, you know, it's showing up as the lyrics are happening. The red text kind of weaves around them, and it's basically as the vibe in the music comes up that's connected to my vision of how the narrative is unfolding. Hopefully someday maybe we'll create some short films or some animations for it. If I find the perfect collaborator. The narrative is, I'll just kind of talk about it from the perspective as it's presented. Like, you're in the head of a very sad boy who's very lost and confused, and if you were to be watching this narrative, or really just reading this red text, which is really just thoughts in this dude's head, he's kind of perceiving what's happening in the outside world around him. Like, there's very kind of loose references to like being on a hillside. It's windy. It's like slightly chilly. He walks toward this shed and he walks in. He's like, "Oh, what's this?" This is he like walks in. And he's like, "Oh shit, this isn't a shed. This is a fucking something else." And there's a female character who's showing him around. There's some crazy shit happening, probably. But I'm talking about Smiles Like Stripes. This is what happens during Smiles Like Stripes. But we don't really, we can't tell. If you're just reading it, you can't really tell what's happening, because if you imagine yourself in this character's head, he's so deep in his own mind and lost in his thoughts that he's not present. He's, just reminiscing about all this stuff and not really paying attention to what's happening, even though it's very much, there's a lot. I mean, there's very much, it's like a sensory assault. And so he's like drifting in and out of being there and not. And then when we hit Grand Chasm, this female character, who's sort of like dubbed the Mistress, leads him to her chambers or quarters, where they have an encounter. He's still lost in his head and kind of just like very much reminiscing and feeling sad about a lot of trauma. But he's getting it on with this mistress and, feels good and he feels vulnerable and he kind of lets go into the experience. And then one eye opens with this later in the forest. And it's 2 weeks later than when he first entered during Smiles Like Stripes. I mean, Grand Chasm, he kind of comes to a week later after this initial sort of performance he's treated to. But he wakes up in the forest like a week after that, and he's like, "Oh, fuck, what happened?" He's just like, "I don't really want to wake up because there was some sort of dream I was in, and like, what? Like, I think I remember going in this shed. There's a show, there's a bonus afterwards, but now I'm here, like, just fucking like disheveled amongst the trees." And he's sort of remembering some stuff, but then still reminiscing about all this trauma, and has no idea what's happening, and is like really just emotionally, psychologically, and physically just broken, and still reminiscing about trauma. So that's what happened to, that's where he's at. You don't really get much about what actually happened during his experience. So StagNation, much of that gets revealed because it is the mistress's tale. Now, I have to kind of set the stage here for the sort of universe, the world that we're experiencing or we're living in. StagNation, you can see with the flag that's my overlay, is like America, but even more fucked up. Contemporary dystopian reality, alternate reality, where essentially part of this dystopian alternate reality is that somehow the government has figured out, quote unquote, that the solution to solving much of the violence in the StagNation, like a male deer nation, but also StagNation, is, the basically the root of all violence in this nation is angry, lonely men that have gotten too angry. Lonely, horny men. Like me, no. Who've gotten too angry and have sort of decided that, like, they're sad, but their sadness turns to anger at how just, like, unfair their lot in life is, right? And everybody's plugged into the Matrix, of course. And anytime the government senses that one of these lonely, single, horny men, sad boys, is getting too angry to where they might take their own life or shoot up a school or whatever. They hit up the corporation, the full name is the Sensual Healing and Recovery Corporation, which stands for SHARK, or the SHARK whatever, the abbreviation is SHARK with a C. They're masters of the Big Shark Energy, which I've mentioned in my dudes and posts and stories and whatever. Big Shark Energy coming up. This corporation, they're just like, yeah, we're dope. We figured out a solution to this problem, right? So the solution is they've established these clinics that are essentially populated by these, corporate shark dudes, but also these highly trained medical professionals who not only understand, quote unquote, the male psyche and their biology, but they're also highly skilled sex workers. So Madam Mistress Doe, who is the mistress, like Jane Doe, but a doe, female deer. StagNation. Get it? Deers and sharks. She's one of the best, and she's been recruited to come to Clinic C to basically investigate a remembrance. And what a remembrance means is that there's been a patient who's gone through one of these clinics who has remembered the experience. So what goes on at these clinics, standard procedure, is they bring you in, they treat you to a show, but it's a fucked up show that is meant to kind of like psychologically shock you into first a state of, or they use a therapy technique which has the same initials as electroconvulsive therapy, but in this universe it's empathoconvulsive therapy. So it can be a different sort of thing depending on what they have learned about your life through you being plugged into the matrix, right? But it basically is showing like a very traumatic thing for you that shocks you into a state of like, convulsive empathy. Then they do something, the next kind of part of the performance is something that is even more traumatic, that then shocks you into something that has the same initials. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but it has the same abbreviation or letters as Munchausen by proxy, which look it up if you don't know what that is. But it's in this universe, it's mind-body paralysis. So you're literally in a state of shock where your body is frozen, as is your mind. And then what they're supposed to do, or generally do after that, is basically do something to you that activates your traumatic memories. And I haven't talked about it too much, but there's usually a form of like a psychoactive involved, like MDMA, is what I kind of think of them using. Enough on that. Commonly called Molly or ecstasy. And then they bring you out of the mind-body paralysis into a state of what they call sedation over memory activation, which is soma. You might have heard that word. It has been used in many applications, but kind of what I was thinking of the most was Alfred Huxley's soma in Brave New World, the drug that everybody's on that kind of like sedates them and makes them feel good and forget about how fucked up everything is. And then they lead you to the sex workers' chambers and give you a great time. Because they really know how to please you, these mistresses. Or masters? Wait. I don't know if you're gay. Whatever. So anyway, but instead, the remembrance is basically this patient, they've sensed that he actually remembers something from the experience, because normally once they, get you good and slaked and lathered, they administer a drug called amnesium, which makes you forget the whole experience. And they deliver you safely back to your bed, and as a lonely, sad boy, you have experienced the psychological and the physical benefits of having the oxytocin release from having an intimate encounter. Plus, you've managed to kind of unearth some trauma, and you're okay. And now these dudes, they can just sort of go out with their lives as just sad, lonely men who aren't angry anymore. Until they get too angry again, then, they give you a sexy call, lure you to the place, and then go through the thing again. And then nobody gets murdered or commits suicide or shoots up a school. Or a concert or whatever. But this patient has experienced a remembrance, and they want to bring him in to investigate what this is. They call the best of the best, Madam Mr. Stowe, and the way the story is presented on my website, and will be in a concept video when, or if I ever put it together for this part. And these are like her medical notes, so it's very soulless, very emotionless. Part of that was kind of a way for me to sort of skirt around the challenge of writing from a female character's perspective, because I love and respect women so much, but I've had a rough go with romance and really don't understand how to kind of be in their heads. So it's really just medical notes, and kind of, intentionally so to really kind of describe in a very emotionless, like scientific way how fucked up this whole thing is, right? It's not finished yet. In fact, I'm not going to finish the story because I'm going to change it. Not necessarily what I've written so far, but how it concludes. I'm not going to reveal how it concludes, but there will be like a to be concluded at the end, and I'll wrap it up whenever. But basically, they bring this patient in, and they treat him to like a really traumatic thing. I'm not going to go over it now. Read my website if you want to know the details. But Shark has decided that basically they're, instead of soma, which is a standard procedure, they're going to try this experimental procedure that they've codenamed recalibration. And the recalibration is actually inflicting more trauma through showing him footage of the way they find out about all this trauma that they, is incorporated into this performance. Basically, show him footage of two members of Shark, male and female, who sneak into his apartment or his room, where everybody has a security camera in their room because no privacy in this place, in this StagNation, and they steal his journals, and they then like have sex in his room in every position he's familiar with, and then clean up carefully so he wouldn't necessarily know he was there or they were there, and that. He's in mind-body paralysis at this point because he's witnessed a murder of one of the literal murder of one of the characters in the freak show, and then he's the next few vignettes he's like realizes kind of right away they're about him, which triggers the mind-body paralysis. But then when they show him this footage, the security camera footage, he like breaks out of mind-body paralysis, and he's just like on one. He's in mania. He's like high and very like high on the dopamine of the manic state, but very, very distressed, and takes a lot. They got to restrain him. Eventually, the mistress calms him down, and kind of gets him horny, and then takes him back, slakes and lathers him, and then he's pretty much catatonic for a week until she starts incorporating a technique that's not really explained. It's called witching switches, and it rouses him, and they actually have kind of a beautiful day together that is also very, very lustful. It ends in him being so overcome that he says he loves her, and her making the mistake, the linguistical faux pas of saying I love you back, because her empathic senses failed her. Shark gets mad at this, And then I haven't really written out this part of the story because it's really scary. But for the rest of the week, they basically prescribe that she needs to escalate the the bondage, the sadism, the discipline to an extreme level to where it turns into all out torture, and then that's where I'll stop, because it was gonna end with something, but my life has shifted. So the story's going to shift to something a little bit more hopeful, but I'll just kind of not really reveal that, and you'll have to wait with frothing loins or bated breath or whatever you want to call it. Cool, we're at 5 viewers. We only lost 2 or whatever. Oh, it's bedtime or something. Okay, it's 10 o'clock. You guys wanted to hear some music, right? So what we're going to show, I'm going to have the artwork up. I'm going to have the lyrics up. You can kind of keep the story in mind of what is happening. Seasons is basically all the research that the mistress does to kind of plan out this performance. She's also kind of the ringleader of this psychedelic freak show. And then Jungle Man is the show / the initial kind of like whatever, slaking and lathering. And then Lost Flight overlaps with Grand Chasm. So, Seasons is kind of like the night before Smells Like Stripes. Jungle Man is Smells Like Stripes. Lost Flight is kind of that week prior to Grand Chasm is Grand Chasm, and then is the week after Grand Chasm. And that's the timeline. I love non-linear storytelling and kind of the mystery of like revealing things one by one. I'll talk a little bit about the third part after this, but while that's still all fresh in your minds, I'm very excited for this because you're going to hear Seasons, you're going to hear Jungle Man, you're going to see the artwork and the lyrics for it and follow along if you want, or just close your eyes and enjoy it. I'm going to play them out of Ableton here. I've got them lined up. This is actually going to be the first time I play the entirety of this part. So this is a very, very momentous, special time for me, hopefully for you as well, if you care about my shit. And you will hear the premiere of Hot Off the Press. I actually haven't even listened to this version of the master yet because it's so fresh. Dan Eaton, he's such a lovely dude. He's a master of wizardry of audio, and he's mastered all these tunes so far. He mastered Lost Flight like in a day because I was like, I'm gonna check myself into rehab. Can you do this? Like right now? And there's two versions he sent last night, and then he did last night, but I listened to the mix I sent him, which I totally transformed, the tune into something really, really magical. I'm so excited to share it. He sent 2 masters, or he had done 2 masters, and I had wanted to make some changes to the mix, and so I sent it to him. I was like, can you do this one? And he was like, oh, I'd already did some masters. Should I trash them? I'm like, no, send those masters, and they sound really good. But then today he'd reached out to me. He was like, I'm teaching till 3:30. You want me to try a V3 with the new mix? And I was like, yes, please. So he sent it to me while I was at dinner, and I haven't heard it yet. So we'll all be listening to it for the first time. I'm going to be hearing it in really, really great quality. You guys will be hearing it in the amazing 160 kilobits per second Twitch lame-ass horrible quality. And then it'll be up on Bandcamp later, and you can download it for free if you want, or pay a lot of money for it, because mental health care costs a lot. But either way, I love you all. We'll enjoy this, and I'll see you on the other side. Need to get a little bit of configuration going and mute my ass in Ableton, which will happen soon. I think what I'll do is I'll switch to the StagNation scene first, or sorry, the season scene. Boom, there it is. Pretty sick. The artwork's really cool. It probably looks like shit because this is broadcasting in 720p, but there's full res versions out there on my website and blah, 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 blah. And Bandcamp. I mean, not quite full res. The full res is like 3,000 plus pixels by, the same amount because it's a square. But I'll shut up. I'm going to mute not the mic aux in Twitch because that'll mute the audio in Ableton, but I'm going to mute my ass in Ableton. My voice is going to go away right now. Or actually, after I say I'm going to mute my ass right now, and then I'm going to start playing in Ableton. Go pee for a little bit while you guys are listening to Seasons, because I have to pee. TMI. or just enough I, or please give me more I, but I won't because I'm going to mute my ass right now. Uh-oh. Feedback again. There we go. So who's still with me? Who experienced that? Holy shit. You know, I'll just comment on the technicals for a second, because that was the first time I heard this master, and, you know, it's kind of funny. I realized that I actually am hearing this in the one... Oh, shit. Did we lose it? No. Oh, nice. I just got an email that I have money on my EDD debit card again. That's cool. Fucking... whatever. Don't need to be distracted by that. So that was tremendous. Holy fuck. So Dan had... you know, the first two masters that Dan sent me, I mean, they were also tremendous, so they'll be included in the audiophile edition of StagNation. But they were, you know, they're aggressive, because the first mix, I think, I was monitoring at a lower level because I was like, God, I really need to train myself to monitor in more like 76. Oh, hang on, let me show my face, sure. Hi. Oh, wait, where's my hat? Because my hair's pink, and that's unacceptable. Just kidding. I love my pink hair. Okay. But anyway, I was trying to train, you know, just like I should really mix. And plus it was late too. I stayed up till 4 a.m. mixing it on Sunday night. Glad I did though. Added all the magic, which wasn't there before. You know, I always wanted to have kind of like a 45 to a minute long intro that was just like this blossoming of all these luscious sounds. And you know, I earlier this year I had this vision that, like, you know, it's lostflght, and there is this sort of, I mean, literally where that name comes from is I had lost one of these journals, or thought I'd lost it for good, but it was I think the brand was Flight, I think that's, otherwise I wouldn't have named it that. But I found it, and it was like, oh, there's the Lost Flight one, which had some stuff in it that was like much later. You know, I because of some shit that happened, I felt very, very uncomfortable even keeping journals for a while. You know, just ever since have really kind of missed. I don't really trust privacy very much. But yeah, I mean, but I later on I started getting a little bit, you know, opened up to the idea of keeping journals again, and I had one that was a flight one, you know, and it was later on, and there was like for a period of time, these journals that these new journals I was keeping were very guarded, and I was always like speaking in kind of like euphemisms and like not really even being true to myself of what I needed to journal about, and it was really kind of weird, but it was always like sadness, and I could find that I found that whenever I journaled, it was only because I had to, because I couldn't think of anything else to do to try to like distract myself from the pain or heal myself or whatever, or you know, like do some yoga or meditate or whatever instead of journaling. Or call a friend. But yeah, I mean, it was always, I would only ever go to journaling if it was something really dark and really sad that I had to get out. And these lyrics, you know, basically all of these, the first 6 tracks, dichotometry is different, which is part 3, which I'll be working on next year. And hopefully releasing, if all goes well, around the summer solstice. But Lost Flight, it was really just this one little segment, and part of the reason why Jungle Man only has a few little lyrics at the beginning, and Lost Flight has only a few lyrics at the end, is because these tracks are the mask. They deal deeply in an emotional sense with all the bullshit and all the trauma, and it has been so hard for me to reveal that and speak openly about it for a very long time. And even when I was writing this album, like I couldn't bring myself to write lyrics that dealt with that because it was still so painful. And, you know, I've come to realize that part of the reason why it's taken 8 years to get to the point where I had made enough progress, in addition to like needing to develop all the audio engineering and production skills to be able to realize the vision I heard in my head. It was just really painful to work on this stuff, especially this middle third. It is the most emotionally intense, and as you've come to find, or may come to find if you're getting more and more interested in my shit through these, it's really dark. And I don't typically, I mean, even though I'm a very dark, well, I have a very dark side. My shadow self is it's like it's a definitely, I can definitely identify with the blurry face concept, let's just say, from 21 Pilots 2015 album. Who, my good buddy John Carter, if you haven't gone to bed because you probably work for Amazon early, sound off if you're still here. Or not. I love you. 21 Pilots. Yeah, anyway, sorry, John, he got me into 21 Pilots. So it's just, you know, the blurry face, I'll kind of explain the way Tyler Joseph explains it, 21 Pilots. He's like, you know, the blurry face is this character represents that part of all of us that we don't like to look at. And it's basically like creating, like presenting, the album kind of presents that character in different ways as like a mirror to like actually confront that. And this StagNation, you know, the whole vibe of this part is, you know, like me facing my blurry face and unearthing all this shit. And I dove way deep and even unearthed some stuff that I completely blocked out, totally forgotten about, revisited a lot of stuff that I've just blocked or shoved down, and has formed these heavy, intense samskaras, right, that affect my, just everything in my entire state of being. And it's time to really, it was time to really rip that open. And I just, as I explained in my lengthy hour speech or lecture or whatever, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, hard opening, speaking of which, it was too much for my tender heart to handle, and that combined with, you know, and the encouragement of unearthing that stuff and getting kind of into some pretty heavy substance use again, and just ripping open all this old trauma and just unearthing a lot of just anger and aggression that I avoid like the plague, but it's there. I'm a really nice guy. I don't really fight, or I tend to run away from conflict to a fault. And I don't speak up about how I feel in, you know, when I feel that other people are coming on very strong. And that's no way to be healthily. So that's what that's what this part is all about. So I mean, the story will end on a hopeful note, even though it's gotten really, really vicious by about midway through the Lost Flight narrative. And then we will take a rest. In fact, this is now the time to take a rest. I was gonna do a Zoom thing, but it's 10:34. It's really late, and there's only like 4 people watching. I want to know who those 4 are. So if you're in the chat, or you can text me or whatever, like, let me know you're watching. I know Dad's here. Brian might be here. Harris. Miguel might be here still, or he might have had to go to bed because he has children. John doesn't have children, but he has a girlfriend, and he works for Amazon early, probably. But those are the only people I know who are here, I think. All yous hiding. This is your chance to put words on a thing for me to see and know you're there. Hi! Oh, Tomas is still watching? Cool. Even though I thought you guys were asleep already. Cool. Well, that's great. I'm at Tomas's house, in case you didn't know. That's my drum set. It's amazing. My parents bought it for me when I was 16, and it has remained... It's really good. It needs some maintenance eventually. It's got some scratches on it, but it still sounds really good. Needs new heads. Need new sticks, always. Except when I'm not drumming, like I haven't been for like the last almost year. Since like JSP last year. Tomas in the house, and Ron's there. Dad's there. Maybe Miguel's in the house, and maybe Brian's still here, and maybe, I don't know. But that's okay. I mean, I'll talk to you all eventually. This concludes StagNation season, thank God. I mean, I'll get back and finish the story eventually, just some housekeeping stuff or whatever. Like, after I, call it here, I'm not going to do I'm not going to do a Zoom thing because just tired and need to get a good night's sleep and pack for my stay at Recover Integrity. If you weren't paying attention or just tuning in now, Mom's here and Cody too, of course. I neglected to reach out to Roger, so maybe he might not have known, but I mean, Roger loves me and he loves my stuff, so I know that. And he knows intimately all my stories. Well, not all of them, but many of them, and increasing as I've gotten more comfortable, like, becoming the true version of myself. But yeah, I'm going to check myself in tomorrow to this place. It's really expensive. Thank God for family and grandparents and support financially. But yeah, I'm just going to chill out, and I'm going to be disconnected from internet for probably 2 weeks at least. That's kind of the way they do things there. Obviously, it's all voluntary, and they're not going to force me not to use my phone if I got to make a call, whatever. But have a contact there, and they have a number. I mean, you can just go to recoverintegrity.com, and, I would wait at least a week, but, if you want to call them up and see if you can get in touch with me, that would work. Anybody who's reached out to me today in response to, my posts or who's here tonight or whatever, I mean, and just people I love, I'll make a list and make sure that I, when it is time to reach out to people, that I'll let you know how to get in touch with me. But my social media presence is going to disappear. I'm going to deactivate my Facebook. I will, whatever the equivalent of that is, on Instagram, even though Instagram's been it's been the most helpful for me, but I was on by Facebook, and I definitely probably get the most obsessive and addicted to it than any other platform, because Facebook is fucking a joke for anything other than being in touch with people outside of my generation, I guess. And no, just kidding. Some people I only communicate with through Facebook, so that's why I keep it. But I'm gonna actually hide the Twitch, so this will be recorded to the channel, and I'll highlight it to make sure it doesn't go away. But I'm gonna deactivate the Twitch, so it's not gonna be active. I'm gonna download, as long as it won't take forever here, I'm going to download the Twitch streams or export them to YouTube. And this tonight, unless it looks like it's going to be an all-nighter, because I really do want to get a decent night's sleep tonight. But, of course, I'll have plenty of time to relax when I get there. I think I'm going to try to work it out to where I, can hide my YouTube but still have the unlisted links, so I can embed all the B4 streams on my website, because the website's not going to go away, of course. That is my portfolio, my oeuvre, my repository of creative things, and will continue to grow once I get my head a little more on straight and heal and work through the shit. Some plans for the future. Whenever it's appropriate, I'll be starting up the hands Mixcast, basically, just another type of thing. I don't know where I'm gonna stream it yet. Probably here for starters. It's gonna be different from the before stream, because the focus will basically be, it's like a DJ buddy live streaming Mixcast, where we'll get together, we'll chop it up a little bit. It's kind of an excuse to be able to start kind of socializing a little bit, because it's been very lonely this year, of course. All the shit. And to basically, I love all my DJ friends, and they all play such amazing styles of music. And, I'm not super pretentious about this, but I love DJing everything and anything. And I love my friends' taste in music, and I love just being exposed to new shit, diving deep into stuff once I'm inspired by a friend. So, the goal of it is to basically, okay, what do you like to play? What's your comfort zone? And let me explore that and come up with a playlist, and let's fucking do an improvised B2B together, which stands for back-to-back, one track at a time. Back-to-back's common way to DJ as a twosome. But yeah, but definitely also include a portion where we can just be live streaming and catching up and just talking, because all my friends are beautiful and have a lot, you know, to say. And I want to encourage that just through this time when shit's fucked up and will probably continue to be so, and will probably be extinct, or at least destroy the planet within like 20 years or something, probably. Um, get ready to move to another planet, or if we develop the technology, or maybe the moon. Some people seem gung-ho on that, but why don't we just clean up this place? Anyway. But, I know it's kind of too far gone at this point, and apparently everybody just wants to yell at each other and or kill each other now. And all the kind people are just kind of trying to, like, at least trying to speak up about it or hide. I don't know. But that's all the depressing stuff. But, you know, the more reason why we should continue making dope-ass meaningful art. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to keep revealing more about myself and be just more and more so open sourcing my creative process. And got a Patreon plan where I'm going to have all kinds of cool subscription tiers where you can just have all, you know, free streaming / download access to my shit. My entire, like, audiovisual oeuvre, you know, up into, like, what I'm going to call the Brian's Club or something. What is it called? The Brian's SSS Club, which is not, like, the Nazi whatever. It's, like, although that's the SS. It's the Sound Scientist Special Club. We'll do monthly Zoom time where we, you know, exchange ideas and just share and update each other, and you'll get access to like stems and libraries and just all my stuff that I make all my stuff with. And on up from there, you know, be like a subscription where you know, can have like one unstructured conversation per month where, you know, I can kind of just help you to break through whatever sort of creative blocks that you're experiencing. I'll have lessons either monthly or weekly, which can be anything, you know, anything you want to learn that I'm good at. And, you know, private monthly DJ parties, that's your choice of music. So if, you know, if I talk to you, we call it like the personal jockey tier, where if we, you know, we'll basically talk about your taste in music, what's your kind of vision for the thing. You could give me just like dictate a playlist to me, but what's more fun is you give me a few songs you like that you definitely want to be in there, and then I just go down rabbit holes of like Spotify and just fucking, you know, my way of finding music, and I'll create a custom extended DJ set for you, and I'll perform it for you and whoever you want to gather together virtually. And then I will also, as I'm recreating or creating this DJ set for you, I will make a custom dude for you. By the way, my dudes stand for doodles. It's my cute, silly way where I can make tons of wordplay about dudes, like send dudes, we need more dudes, etc. Dudes are genderless, by the way. They're just dudes. They have personalities and they're personified, but, you know, it's not male or, you know, there's no dudettes. It's just dudes because it's DOOD. I'm duding them all the time because it's part of my therapy to sort of just, you know, in a sense, it's kind of connected to the fact that I've been very sensitive and I still have some insecurity about writing private, deep stuff. So I dude about it. And it's a nice way, especially during this time where my mind's all over the place and any thought can kind of just like take hold and become an obsession, which can turn into self-destructive shit or just, yeah, whatever. I can kind of just focus on duding a dude about it. And those who contributed to my first fundraiser, I might do another one to try to get a little bit of help to offset the tremendous contributions that my parents will be making to this next phase. But the perks were like, you know, if you donate above a certain amount, I'm going to send you monthly dudes for a year. If you donate above a higher amount, I'm going to send you weekly dudes for a year. It's just kind of daunting, but I got dudes for days and I'm duding them all the time. So I already got a lot of them kind of ready to go, and I'm going to start it whenever is appropriate, and that'll be kind of part of a Patreon option as well, to get some dudes from me. They can be analog dudes, they can be digital dudes, they can be a combination. An analog dude would be something I just do by hand and I mail it to you. Digital dude would be something purely digital that I don't I just dude on the computer because, I've been duding before I started doing analog dudes. Been making lots of flyers over the years and getting better at Photoshop. Getting pretty dope with all my visual shit. So, it's all part of me, and it'll be really fun to do that stuff once I have time to settle down. What else? I think that's pretty much it. I mean, it'll be sad to be cut off, but it'll be very liberating, and it feels like we're getting ready for summer camp. I'm just really excited to just go there and just fucking forget about anything else for a while. Well, not forget about everything else, just not have any other things to do and have all my meals and be living in a mansion and getting lots of therapy and help. So, back to Cirque for a little bit. And Dad had some questions. Let's see. So much more intense than the early version we've been listening to all these months. Earlier take was so much more spare. Like the NASA launch countdown midway through. Where is text for the spoken intro? Well, nowhere. So all that stuff, I mean, actually, I threw it all together on Sunday. And what it is, I'll kind of explain a little bit. I mean, I was tracking I touched on it a little bit earlier, I think, but I was tracking basically the history of flight. That's why you start with birds, because that's what we were inspired by to start figuring out how to fly. I couldn't really figure out a Chinese kite thing, but I wanted to have a reference to the Wright brothers. So what that is some random show. I mean, I was just searching YouTube and ripping videos and illegally doing a lot of stuff. Because fuck it, whatever. Artists make art, and when I get sued, I'll know I've made it. But I doubt anybody will ever be able to tell because it's like pitched down. You hardly can understand what the words are. But yeah, it was like a video I saw found on YouTube when I was like looking up Wright Brothers stuff, and somebody presenting, some guy, I don't know who he is, presenting, just talking about the Wright Brothers' first flight. And I took just like a little portion of the intro where he's just kind of talking about what that was. And then that leads into the kick and the tabla coming in, and those paths kind of settle down. Builds to a climax and they settle down. And from there, periodically, just kind of every transition to each new solo, I'm kind of going through the history. So we've got a couple of propeller planes passing by. An older sample and then a more current sample, and then we get some jets breaking the sound barrier. And then I think Dad will be pleased to hear this, I during the climax, or the middle section of the tabla solo, I actually used, it's very, very low in the mix, but it's the Christmas address of the Apollo 8 astronauts, a small portion of it, and then the countdown to the shift to the acoustic guitar chords, where it moves from the rag Yaman, which is like Lydian if you're into Western shit. It transforms from that to E minor, which, because our sum, which is like the tonic in India, because our sum is C, E minor is modally equivalent to Yaman, in that it's the same notes, so, white notes with an F sharp. So right before that kind of transition, we get, of course, the final countdown, which is the only sample. I don't know. I used the official NASA samples because that's actually legal, because they released like a library of samples, just like, here, use them for whatever. It's pretty cool. But a couple years ago they did that. But yeah, it's the final 6 seconds of the the ignition sequence start, which is 6 seconds, final 6 seconds of the countdown of the Apollo 11 mission, which took us to the moon, unless you believe it's a hoax, which, why? And then we get into some interesting stuff, like through that whole section, actually, the very layered underneath the surface, there's some Mars sounds recorded from the InSight rover, or whatever they call it. And then we get into some really trippy shit, and kind of like the outro of with the final kind of sitar, swirly thing after the beats go away, and it's just that. Kind of leading into that, you get some radio emissions from Saturn, which sound really, really crazy, layered underneath. And then finally at the end, I forget what missions it's from, but it's from Discovery. I took another NASA sample, pitched it down, and it was, what was it? I forget what the actual text is, but it's, words are, but it's something about, like, Discovery's 4 computers now have primary control of all systems or something like that. So that's kind of bringing it back to the narrative of the fact that, and just really how life is and how I kind of see social media and the internet and how messed up it is. If you haven't seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix, you really should, because I think it's that and the Paris Hilton documentary are the 2 most important films for everybody to see. Documentary films anyway, right now. Every human on the planet should see both, because what this documentary basically reveals is something I've just figured and known, but it's a lot of interviews with people who used to or still currently work at social media giants. All the platforms I've been saying, fuck them all to death. The platforms, not the people. Reference to South Park there. It's basically Mr. Garrison's campaign slogan for his 2016 campaign, where they basically replaced Trump with him to not actually have to have a South Park version of Trump. But anyway, his slogan is not, the platform's not the people, it's just fuck them all to death, which is hilarious if you have the same opinion of Trump as me. But anyway, sorry to get political there for a second, but yeah, I mean, the Social Dilemma is about these giant, like a lot of these people basically reveal the fact that, the algorithms they've created or the systems they've created that, initially they felt like it was maybe an altruistic motive to make it easy for these platforms to be customized for you. They've kind of gotten out of control and intentionally so, and gotten more and more precise through all the programmers and all the basically kind of like yuppie white dudes who work primarily for these companies. They basically have written the code that creates our reality that we live in virtually, that we perceive as like us checking in on our friends and pushing our artistic careers or whatever it might be, but it's all basically algorithms that are designed to present to you what the computer has decided what is going to be the best virtual reality for you to remain engaged the longest and buy shit. It's kind of the best way I can put it right now. You should really watch the film, but like if you don't have Netflix, get Netflix and watch it. And that's fucking scary. I mean, and it's not just scary, it's like it led to the disruption of many elections. It has led and continues to be, lead to the disruption of many elections, ours included, probably this year's as well. Not just that, but has led to like full-on rebellions and like terrorists taking control. And this is true. I mean, this isn't conspiracy shit. Like, this is fucking what has happened. And it's the world we live in, especially because we're isolated at home and our reality is our screens. So hopefully it's not too late. I mean, the whole motivation behind this for these companies are some of the richest in the world. is just money. It's the money train. It's the business model, and that is really sad. And it's going to take a lot of change and a lot of people coming into these companies that care about changing the business model to be able to turn it around. And spoiler alert, like, these people who are part of this documentary are not very optimistic. I don't know. I mean, I personally I've lost faith in humanity's ability to turn itself around because so many of us are so ill-informed. And I think most of us are complacent enough or just addicted enough to this technology that I think, we're sort of in too deep to even care enough to wake up. So I don't know where things are going to go, but it is really interesting, and it's cool to make dystopian art about it, so I'm going to keep doing that. But I just, encourage everybody to think about that and dig deeper. You can Google shit, but don't look at the advertised results. Don't look at even the top few results. Like, go further and look for stuff that has its sources cited and read those, and maybe read some research. It's really boring and whatever, but that's the real shit. But some of it's not. Anyway, I'm not going to kind of keep going on and on about it, but it's important. I care a lot about it. I care so much about psychological and emotional wellness, and the platforms are not helping. So, I'll be figuring it out, doing my best to try to use the platforms less, because it was making me insane. And, I was already insane, but, brought it to the surface. And, just do better, be kinder to each other, be more compassionate, stop listening to, fucking wannabe, I don't know, never mind. But yeah, I don't know. However November turns out, there's going to be an upheaval. And get ready, shelter in place. Stay safe. Wear a mask. I don't know. But yeah, not to end on a sad note. I'm really excited about how things are going to go once I, work through my shit and have so much to share and so many ideas, and just I'm really excited about that. One last final thing, b4manmusic.com, that's the place to be. Look out for a Jungle Space in Place party, the third, or whatever they're going to call it. Basically all the people are planning it, not me. I checked in with Brian today, updated him, and, I'm going to be doing my thing. They're going to be putting it together. I'm, full faith in my team. And I'll be performing. It'll be the first weekend in November 7th and 8th. It'll be our 5th anniversary party. It'll be our 5th anniversary party for Jungle Space Party, which we founded and had the first event in 2015, October. So it's about time to do a 5th anniversary thing. We were going to go out to Joshua Tree to Garth's and pre-record something and then do a surprise thing, but it's just, too much to try to, even go through that. It's just not, it's just not the time for that stuff yet. I'm kind of, some schools are opening safely. Some events are happening safely. It's all moving in the direction, I think, where we should have been before, with not booking over capacity events and, et cetera, et cetera. But, yeah, it will be really special. And we're definitely going to, I'm just excited to see what the team puts together. And I'll be doing a set. I don't know exactly what I'm going to play yet, but it'll be some combination of light and darkness to represent the sort of two aspects of what I've been feeling this year. The light part, I know what it'll be. It'll be my mid-tempo chug in 2020 playlist that I kind of played with on the b4strm 4. And then the other half will be darkness. And I won't say anything other than that. Might incorporate some video, might incorporate some lyrics. Hint, hint. might incorporate non-electronic driven music. And it'll be really cool. Or I might, anyway. But, looks like I'm frozen. Maybe that's a signal to make me stop. Hopefully my audio is still going through. Oh, I think I'm going to be back. And let me make sure. Gurunam. Oh, she's here. Hey. Yeah, this will be recorded to Twitch and it'll probably be available until later tonight. I mean, basically, okay. So what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to get lostflght up onto Bandcamp so you can download it in full WAV quality /A for FLAC. Please don't download the MP3 because you can pay the same price, as little as $0 if you're broke like me. Well, I'm not too broke, but I don't have a job and a lot of people are on unemployment and super broke right now. Gurunam's sick. Check her out. I think her Insta handle is something about a fit yogini. But anyway, I mean, she's somebody that I met very recently at Ben's place and has a lovely singing voice and really amazing background. It has a lot of parallels to me. And anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked. She plays a mean harmonium too. It's one good thing the Brits brought to Indian subcontinent, I guess. Anyway, okay. That and English, because, a lot of Indians I can talk to. Anyway, okay. So I need to wrap up. I'm going to put lostflght on the Bandcamp, which is, oh shit, I think my streaming signal's low again because I froze again on the Twitch. So it's really time. My fan's on my computer and it's really hot. Hopefully you can still hear my voice though, but I'm gonna put it up on the Bandcamp. It's B4 Man Music, like the 3 words before man and music put together. .bandcamp.com, not bandcramp.com, like I've sillily done in my shitty state. But www.be4manmusic with an E. I've never, like a jury foreman, B4 Man Music. b4manmusic.com. That's my website. I'm going to try to get all the B4 streams up there if it doesn't take way too long to get them up there with how the internet is here, so you can at least still be able to go back and enjoy them while all my social media shit is gone. Basically just going to deactivate everything in case you didn't hear that earlier. For good reason. I mean, I got to really focus in on taking care of myself and healing and checking into this place. recoverintegrity.com if you want to learn about it. Really excited. It's going to be like summer camp. I'm kind of just talking in circles now, so I will stop. It's the first time, or the last time, you'll see my face on the internet, unless you go to my website and see the one picture of my face that's there. It's a cute photo taken by a professional named Caroline. Rockin' the Zen. I'm frozen again. This is getting to be pretty glitchy. So, goodbye, good night. Thank you for tuning into the b4strm.005. Instead of being 2.5 hours, it was 3 hours. So I think I'm doing better at staying within my time. And I love you all. I love all the people I love, of course. And, hope you are taking good care of yourself, looking out for your emotional well-being. If you're doing a lot of substances, maybe slow down or consider stopping for a little bit to get your head clear like I'm doing. And but still don't feel bad for loving substances, because substances are great tools for introspection and growth when used properly. And thank you, Gurunam. You're awesome, too. And I will see you again at some point in the future. Hit me up, send me a DM or a text if you want to potentially stay in touch with me while I'm in rehab, but don't count on anything. Yeah. Thank you and good night. Stopping stream now. Bye.